Welcome to this instructional video on how to watch professional League of Legends without needing any prior knowledge of the game. League of Legends is a multiplayer online battle arena game, or a MOBA, where two teams of 5 players compete to destroy the other team's base. It's also a live service game, meaning that it's constantly being updated to make small changes and maintain its competitive integrity as well as player enjoyment over time. The game has become one of those popular eSports in the world, with professional teams and players competing in leagues and tournaments for large prize pools. Watching professional League of Legends can be exciting and engaging, even if you have never played the game before. In this video, we will go over some key aspects of the game and how to follow the action, so you can enjoy the spectacle of professional League of Legends. I also want to make it clear that this is not a comprehensive video on the gameplay of League of Legends. League is a very complicated game, and this is not meant to teach you how to play the game, but this video will introduce you to the core concepts of what makes this a competitive sport and how to approach these concepts as a new spectator. The first thing you need to know is the basics of the game itself. As we mentioned earlier, League of Legends is a multiplayer game where 2 teams of 5 players compete to destroy the other team's base, specifically their nexus, which is the heart of their base. The game takes place on a map with 3 lanes and a jungle area. The top lane, middle lane, and jungle each contain 1 player from each team, while the bottom lane contains 2 players from each team. Just like how a goalie guards a goal in soccer, professional players are often referred to by the position they take on the map. Those in the top lane are top laners, alongside junglers, mid laners, and the carry and support duo of bot lane. To accomplish their goal of defeating the enemy's nexus, each player controls a champion, a powerful character with unique abilities and traits, each one specialized for utilizing one of the 4 areas of the map. Once each team has selected their champions, players must work together to defeat enemy champions, minions, and structures. Minions are computer-controlled units that spawn periodically and march down lanes towards the enemy base. These little guys don't do a whole lot of damage, but left unchecked, they will chip away at structures over time. Structures include turrets, which defend the lanes and the base, and inhibitors, which when destroyed, provide super minions to the team that destroyed them. Turrets can be permanently destroyed, weakening the enemy team's base defense, while inhibitors will automatically rebuild themselves after a short time period, giving the team that destroyed them a short time to take advantage of their newly recruited super minions. The greatest obstacle each team will face is the opposing champions. Whether players are getting into one-on-one duels, ambushing other players, or grouping together for game-winning teamfights, the greatest setback a team can face is the time it takes for their players to respawn at home base after being defeated in battle. This death timer is a short window where the enemy team has a distinct numbers advantage, and the longer the game goes on, the longer these death timers can get. Eventually, one team will destroy the opposing team's nexus, but to get there, players must navigate the complex strategy and teamwork required to succeed, and the ability to navigate the many aspects of the game precisely and efficiently is what differentiates the paid professionals from the casual players. Now that you understand the basics of the game, let's talk about how to watch a professional League of Legends match. Some of the basic information you should have as a spectator is that matches are usually played in a best of series, meaning the first team to win 2 or 3 games wins the match. The average length of an individual game is usually between 25 to 35 minutes, though games can go as long as 50 minutes or in rare cases even longer if both teams are evenly matched in skill. Professional matches are broadcasted live, and you can watch them on various streaming platforms such as Twitch or YouTube. LOLesports.com keeps an updated schedule of when and where you can watch the latest professional games, and will also upload replays of the games so you can still watch them even if you missed the live stream. Now into the matches themselves. Each game begins with a pick and ban phase, where each team takes turns banning a champion that they don't want either team to pick this game until they've each banned 3 champions. There are various reasons for banning a champion, but usually it's because that champion is one of the strongest characters in League's latest update, and they would rather remove it from the game entirely than risk the enemy team picking it. Following the banning phase, each team now takes turns picking champions for their team to play until they've each picked 3 champions. Similarly to bans, champion picks are often relevant to the current state of the game, or the current meta as it's called. This pick phase is then followed by another banning phase where each team bans 2 more champions, and then another pick phase where each team picks 2 more champions. Now with each team having a champion picked for each of their 5 players, the game can begin. Now, let's pause and take a look at the screen you'll most often be seeing as a spectator. This is the game screen, featuring an intricate heads-up display, or HUD, and it's very similar to what the players see on their own screens, but with a bit more information that we are allowed to see as an audience member. Let's break down this HUD so it's a bit easier to digest. First, on the top of the screen, we can see the game summary so far. We see the team names on either end with the match score underneath that shows how many games of the series that team has won so far. Since this is the first game in the series, this bar is empty for both teams. Moving inward, we see the amount of turrets destroyed by either team. Again, neither team has destroyed a turret yet, so this is a 0 for both sides. But if you look at the game itself on the screen, you can see T1 Faker is actively damaging the first mid lane turret, so he's working on it. Again, moving inward, we now see the gold count for each team. Gold is used by each player to buy items for their champion, which makes their champion stronger. Essentially, whichever team has more gold means they have more items, and this is a good indicator at any given moment of which team has a lead. One more step inward and we see the active kill count of the game. Right now, T1 has 2 kills and DRX has 1 kill. Like gold, this is a good stat to look at to see which team is ahead. And directly underneath that, we see the game timer, so you know how long the game's been going. Looking to the sides of the screen now, we can see the players in the order we talked about before. The top laner, jungler, mid laner, carry, and support. You can also see that the mid laner for DRX, Zeka, must have been slain recently as he has 6 seconds left on a death timer, which might explain why Faker has the time to attack this turret in the mid lane on the screen. Look how much we've learned without even seeing any action. Looking now to the bottom of the screen, we can see the champion stats screen, which gives you more details on the items that each player has purchased so far, and on the right side, we can see the game map. Now that we can use the HUD to our advantage as a spectator, let's decipher some of the action happening on screen and get familiar with what steps a team might take on their path to victory. A team destroying one of the opposing team's turrets is a good example of this, as it's the first line of their base's defense. Even more so than a turret is destroying an inhibitor, as we mentioned earlier, as it forces the enemy team to spend more time defending their base from incoming super minions than they would like to. And why would the enemy team not want to be stuck fighting super minions? Because there's actually 3 more telltale objectives that teams need to pay attention to: Dragon, Rift Herald, and Baron. The Dragon is a large monster that spawns on the lower side of the map at the 5-minute mark. Usually it's a bit too strong for a team to take right at 5 minutes, but eventually one team will seize the opportunity to try and defeat it, rewarding their team with gold and a small stat bonus to their champions. The first team to defeat 4 dragons gets the Dragon Soul, which permanently grants major combat bonuses to their team, thus giving them a serious leg up on their opponents for the rest of the game. On the opposite side of the map, and much like the Dragon, we'll find the Rift Herald. This monster can be defeated for another reward, the ability to summon the Herald a single time to do a large chunk of damage to an enemy turret. Once the game reaches the 20-minute mark, the Rift Herald will retire for the remainder of the game and is replaced by a much tougher monster, Baron Nashor, though we'll just call it Baron. Baron is the hardest monster to defeat, and in most cases will require an entire team of champions to take it down. Defeating Baron rewards the entire team with a 3-minute buff that makes nearby allied minions get much stronger, allowing the team with Baron buff to group up and knock down a turret, or 2, or 3 with the help of their rampaging minions. It's a really strong power-up that can end a game very quickly if used properly. Now that we know about the pivotal objectives in the game, it's no wonder that teams will often group together and fight over these objectives to the death to secure these powerful bonuses for their own team. These fights are referred to as team fights, where all 10 champions are present in using their most powerful abilities to turn the tide of battle and take control of the area of the map that houses the desired objective. These fights can be intense and exciting, and whichever team comes out on top is usually a telltale sign of the team that is currently winning the game. As a final note to this section, we would suggest to listen to the commentary provided by the casters. We're not the only ones watching this game. Much like any other sporting event, they will give you real-time insights into the game, the players, and the strategies being used.
And let's remember the state of the draft. It was Caitlyn left open, but it was Karma picked first. That means T1 really wants to be able to have push, wants to be able to have control in this bottom lane early. With the Karma and the Varus together, you can see Zeka pushing in Faker here early on in the mid lane matchup, as topside Zeus has lane control versus Kingen. In terms of the...
Eventually, one team will find that pivotal window where they can exert their momentum and strength and make their way into the enemy base, knocking down the last 2 turrets and breaking the enemy nexus open. And there you have it, a game of League of Legends has been concluded. Now that you know how to watch professional League of Legends, let's talk about some tips for enjoying the game even more. Tip number 1 is to pick a team to root for. There are many professional teams from around the world, and each one has its own unique playstyle and culture. Like any good sports fan, if you pick a team to support, then you'll feel more invested in the matches and will have a reason to cheer for your favorite players. Tip number 2 is to learn the common phrases and terminology used in the game. League of Legends has a wide variety of jargon and slang, some of which you've already learned in this video. Learning these terms will help you understand the commentary and conversations around the game. Tip number 3 is to watch the games with friends or join a community of fans. Discussing the matches and players with others who share your passion can be a fun way to engage with the game and learn more about it. You'll learn a lot in a very short time just by watching the game with somebody who already knows the fundamentals. Finally, tip number 4 is to try and play the game yourself. While watching professional League of Legends can be entertaining, playing the game will give you a deeper understanding of the strategies and tactics involved. You may even discover that you enjoy playing the game as much as you enjoy watching it, even if you're not nearly as good as the professional players we've seen throughout the video. And there you have it, everything you need to know to watch professional League of Legends without any prior knowledge of the game. We hope you have fun watching the matches and cheering on your favorite teams and players.